from, but remember Roots Manuva?
Actually,
Yeah, I mean, like.
did you guys put out any music, any projects, or?
No, I was mostly like a battle style because I was in the.
So you guys are mostly going places battling.
Yeah, they were more of the music style, but I was more of the battle hungry because I was more of the bomber, the break dancer, like the adrenaline junkie. Like
Right.
I was the little pit bull that they
Gotcha.
had in front, and they were like the OGs with the stats in the back, like. Get them, little baby AI, little
Yeah.
Allen Iverson out there, like.
Why'd they call you little baby AI?
Because they're like, you're like Allen Iverson, you're crazy, cocky son of a bitch, just running around creating stats. And I was like, nobody gets, I'm short and ugly. Everyone else is tall and pretty, so I had to like compensate. But they really, I even went out to. Man, I mean, Sammy even took me out to New York in like '98, showed me the Twin Towers before.
Talk about all that, man. What was that? What was that like going to NYC with him?
We got
was
out.
Was he kind of taking you like the hip hop spots, like showing you the
shit? Yeah, because Quick Step was out there.
Talk about
him and the Quick Step are good friends and stuff. So like, I get out there. It's '98. I got my suitcase. I get out of my taxi cab. The block's going crazy. He's like, let's go where we're staying. So and so just got shot in his neck, and I was like, yeah, I see that. I was like,
it was going down like that.
Yeah, I was like 19. I was like, what the fuck, Sam? Like, we're in Bushwick, Brooklyn. little Dominico, and then like we get down the block and we're cool, this and that, and then like this is back with like all the old Lexuses and Acura TLs, like, and all these fools pop out with Averex jumpsuits that darker than Wesley Snipes, dreadlocks, and I'm just like, all right, well, like, are we in Jamaica? Because I don't know, I'm not cultured. I'm 19, I'm from Denver, just a Northsider, like, and then they're like, ¿Qué quieres, amigo? ¿Cómo estás? And then I'm like, oh fuck, and I look up, and it's Dominican flags everywhere. I'm like, these fools are Dominican, they're Spanish niggas, like, oh, I'm all bien too, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. So, crazy thing is, we were out there, and with fuck, what's his name? But we were out there, and so the graffiti heads out there were kind of pissed because the neighborhood asked African Sam to paint a memorial mural because he was a better painter than anyone else in the neighborhood. And so it said, en memoria de Cristian, because Christian got shot. It was a 17-year-old Dominican kid got shot by this 14-year-old Puerto Rican. Damn. Well, the Puerto Ricans
this is back then.
Lived right across the street. So right across the street, this is Bushwick before Bushwick got gentrificated. This is Bushwick when Black Star was living out there. This is so there was Puerto Rican flags across the street, Dominican flags on our street, and a lot of those. And so African Sam had me help do all his fill-ins while he did all the fine lining, and all the graffiti writers out there were pissed, dude, and we knew it.
Was there any like beef or like were they talking shit? Any threats?
No, because when it came down to it, the old heads, the old heads came out and they were like, no, we asked these guys to do it, and then those same guys had them and their women. They were bringing us like plates of chicken and rice, and like they were like, you did get asked to do this. Like, we shouldn't be sweating the shit out of you. You're painting a mural, memorializing our brother who got shot in his neck while you showed up in a taxi with your little suitcase and your beanie. Also, fuck you guys.
That's kind of wild, first experience in New York, bro.
Yeah. But Sam took me around and showed me the ins and outs of New York.
Where'd you guys go?
So, one of the coolest experiences I had with African Sam out there is, since he went to high school in West Africa in Nigeria, part of the Hausa tribe. I don't know if you're familiar with Fela or Fema Kuti.
No.
Famous African artists. I mean, like, they're like the Bob Marleys, Fela, the father, Feta, like, it's like Bob and like Ziggy. They're the African equivalent of that. But
the whole fam.
Yeah. So he was like, we're gonna go to this Nigerian restaurant on the other side of Brooklyn, and I was all sick. And he goes, okay, let me lay down some guidelines. He goes, we're going in front of the Marcy Projects. And I go, oh, where Jay-Z's from? I go, sick. And he goes, chill the fuck out, bro.
Calm down.
He goes, I'm going to tell you something right now, and you better fucking listen. He goes, you remember how when you first showed up, I told you to walk twice as fast as you usually do to fit in? I go, yeah. He goes, we have to walk faster across the Marcy projects. He goes, don't look at anybody. Don't talk to anybody. He goes, and walk faster than you've ever walked and just walk right behind me. And I was like, oh, okay. And holy shit. We pop out of the subway and fools are doing pull-ups on the street lights right there.
Right.
Just,
yoked?
God, dude, I'm talking like, hey, bro, can I borrow those arms? You know how to get them back. Holy shit, what the fuck is going on here? And it's a mile long, but how he explained it was exactly how it was. You look down, you walk faster, you don't talk to nobody, and I've never seen anything like that
in my life. Describe it.
Grimy, gully, gutter, intriguing.
A lot of people on the streets.
Tons, sweating with anxiety. And
you could just feel tension, the tension in the air,
and then you could see the undercover cops, and you could just tell it's just
not a good spot to be in.
It's just the movies don't do it justice. Maybe paid in full, but and I just kept my head down, and we went to this restaurant, little hole in the wall, probably 12 tables. They had Fela and Femi Kuti playing, actually not Fetty yet, just Fela, the dad. And we got these beers, and they were like this fucking big. It was so cool. And we had this lamb, like stew, or a roux, and they put it in the middle of this like yam, like more of a texture, tougher than mashed potatoes, more yam, more
it's like tougher in texture.
Yeah, and so what you would do is you would take a pinch of the yams, and you would put your thumb in it and make a spoon and spoon that soup or that roux with the lamb in it and eat it. And it was, so good. Like I literally can taste it right now. I wish. Oh God. And Fela Kuti was playing on it was a box TV, obviously, because it was 98. So it was on like that, a stand in the corner of the restaurant, and it was like, a cube, like
that's hilarious.
And then the food, and there was an African beer too from West Africa, from Nigeria. So that right there was like he shared a culture, a period of his past with me that he hasn't taken anyone else ever to do, and that was cool. That was one of the coolest things. And then we went bombing in the subways, and we took pictures, and it was with disposable cameras.
Remember that back in the day?
Zip, 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 zip. No, this was before disposable. This was
fucking Polaroid.
No, I didn't have that money for a Polaroid, but yeah, and he took me around, and he goes, hey, we're going to go to New Jersey and see my boy Quickstep. And I was like, oh, shit. We take the bus over to Jersey, cross the bridge, get off the bridge. Cops throw us against this wall, rough us up a little, search us. They're like, Colorado? What the fuck are you doing out here? And we're like, breakdancing and seeing, this and that. And they're like, all right.
They really just swooped you up and threw you against the wall for no reason.
Well, if you look a little different and to them, we looked suspect.
You weren't walking fast enough.
Exactly, yeah.
You were looking up and talking to somebody.
They said that everyone used to take the buses across the bridges and just transport dope. And so they were like, you guys just looked like you weren't around here.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then it was cool though, man. Like it was Bushwick, Brooklyn. Like when it was when it had the highest teenage murder capita in the nation at the time.
Right.
Yeah. And then
did you go down the boogie down?
No, we didn't make it to the Bronx. We quick stepped it. We hot stepped it past Spanish Harlem. We were like, fuck this.
Oh yeah.
Those were salsa dancing guns and shit.
crazy.
But it was cool. He took me on the ferry to Staten Island, and you get to see the Statue of Liberty, and it's a free ferry. So he took me around Stat real quick, right there. Nothing too major, but like I was out there for a week with him. It was dope.
That's dope.
Like African Sam really took me under his wing and like actually gave a shit about me. Like it was cool, and like Dent and Dent too. I mean, obviously Dent was his protege and like his little,
So you guys started doing like a bunch of battles. What was that like, man?
It was fun because we had a rep, and the only times we didn't do well was where we'd go to rap battles in Aurora, and it was a different stop. It was rap. It wasn't hip hop battles, and so we weren't prepared for that. So we did poor out there.
But if you're in Boulder, you're killing that shit.
Smash City, the Olympians downtown on 19th and Sherman. I don't care where we were, Alameda and Tejon in the underground spot, like house parties. Like I was just like, give me the mic, let me recite Timothy White, pick it outside. I was like, I was ready because I was hungry.
Do you remember like your best battle?
I battled Dent and beat him.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you used?
It was rough, bro. I called him. I go, Dent, more like impudent. I was like, badass breath. What I meant was meant to dent. I was like,
shit.
Yeah, dude, it was fucked up, bro. It was fucked up. He didn't know what to do because he was like, I didn't.
Caught him off guard.
Yeah. And I go, well, you're way better than me. I had to.
Had to come correct, right?
I was all massa, sorry, grasshopper, hungry.
You're funny, dog.
Yeah, dude, it was fucked up. And, in front of everyone. All the fucking.
Where was this at?
Where was that?
Was it in Boulder or
no,
was it here?
Remember it was at the Tivoli. Remember they used to have stuff at the Tivoli?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or was it at? I'll have to ask him. We bring it up when we run into each other. He's always like, hey, remember?
What was like some of your best competition coming from? Or there was no competition?
Theme and Adrian and them from WAK. Those guys that hated me. They're good. Because that's Drop and, they rolled with Drop and hate. Like Haven and them, they're Tetra, but Tetra and WAK have a lot of crossover because Tetra and WAK that's where Life Crew came about.
Yeah, we kind of were talking about that, but we got also kind of explain that whole thing right there.
So back then, in the early 90s, there was a place called the Inferno off of 20th and before Coors Field, right?
When you're going over Park Avenue.
Yeah, or no, right off 20th when you go east from I-25. Now they're like luxury lofts, this and that, but it was an abandoned building called the Inferno. And that's when I used to paint Method before Cosmo. And Jolt used to write Earth back in the day. And so Jolt started writing Jolt. And WAK, was Theme, Main, Psych, and they used to paint, but then like Jolt and like so Tetra back then it was like Nice, or it was Haven, it was Inspire, it was D, it was Drop, it was
who else? Aries,
Retro, it was they were the squad. Like OAK was the squad back in the day. They were just down the block doing their thing. We were b-boy oriented. They were skate oriented. But we all had MCs, DJs, and graffiti writers. That's what I always loved about their crew. It was like how Earth and Venus are like, and Mars, they're like sister planets, sister brother planets. Like that's how I always felt their crew was to us. Like just a different version of us. We b-boyed, they skated, sick, and a combination of them and Decca.
Yeah,
nasty ass MC. Nasty. One of the nastiest MCs I ever, besides Haven. Because Haven just destroys it, bro. Chris, behind the mic, stupid, bro. You have to play catch up. He's like Lil Wayne. You got to play catch up on his flows.
He has music for days, bro.
Albums.
It was so nice, like, when I used to see him back in the day, he'd give me like 5 or 6 discs at a time, and they all be different.
They all be good.
And he would give it to me every time.
And you'd be like, how the fuck do you make this much good music? I used to trip out on it, like, cause I was like, I'll fucking battle anybody, and I was like, maybe not him. I hope I don't catch him. And I hope I didn't catch Drop either. I used to think like I used to secretly be like, look at Dent and Sam and be like, oh, if I catch those two, you guys might have to get my back. I always gave it up to them fuckers.
So how did that kind of, we were talking Tetra.
They kind of created like a crew, life crew, like just a whole, like a hip hop entendre. To me, MCs, B-boys, DJs, producers, beatboxers, skaters, just a real collective, communal, and that's what hip hop is. It's a platform to be communal. It's like, it's our chance to use art and dance and music and life and food to be communal and be together. It's not to be against each other. Sure, we have battles and conflicts and stuff, but in the long run, it makes us better and sharper at what we do. And they created like how LOF was, because LOF wanted to be the all styles, everything.
Can we say that LOF was like the original, like Denver, Colorado hip hop crew?
I would say so. Yeah. I would say besides G-Dub right after, I would say that. I would honestly say that. And I'm allowed to say that. Not the original. Because, of course, there's X-Men and, like, when you go way back and Took and when Took, so there's that. But I would say as far as getting out to clubs and repping and graphing, LOF was the first to me. Because that's when they wanted Scream and Ark and Moses, and they were like, no. They go, Scream was like, no, Ark and Moses want to start Get With This. I'm with my brother and my cousin.
Right.
And then John and them, they were LOF, and they took it to heart. Hey, one time, Scream and Ark didn't make it to this battle. It's probably like 94, 95, bro. 96, maybe. 90. It was at Ashland Rec Center. And we met up, straight up, 2 crews, LOF versus G-Dub. No judges, no spectators, no nothing.
Just you guys.
Just 2 crews on a basketball court. Screaming Art didn't show up. They roasted us. I'll chalk that one up. G-Dub, we don't lose, homie.
Right.
Not out here. Not in Colorado. But they got us that round. I'll always remember that. It was a good learning experience. But
why didn't the homies show up?
Trouble. 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 But
did you guys battle LOF again? Like on some shit like that?
Not after, because they stopped. I'm not saying they stopped. I'm not saying they fell off. I'm not saying they, but Lalo in like 98, 99, Lalo and Dash brought GWT back. And there was no other crews. Our scenario was dying off. There was GW, so it was GWT, and there was a team in the Springs called TSF, the Springs Finest. That was it for years, till like 2004, until we started teaching in Boulder, at Motion Underground. And then a couple guys broke off from our dance studio and started affiliated and like a Boulder crew. And then some guys broke off and went to Fort Collins and started a Fort Collins crew. And then a group of our students from Aurora broke off and created School of Breaking. So like we were the apex of the pyramid that created the resurgence in Denver.
Right.
Everyone else left us on our own. We were the ones traveling in 2000, going to Miami, Pro-Ams. We were the ones going to Seattle. I love footwork in Seattle at a freestyle session. I love footworks from Japan. They're an international team. They took it easy on us. We took advantage of it. And then we went up against Havoc Coro from Texas, and they smoked us like we were fucking amateurs. It was embarrassing. But you get beat, you want to get beat by the Kings,
Right. Hey, let's go back. Do you know how kind of GWT got started? Can you talk about that or no?
Yeah. So, I know John is an old school Denver popper, and
That's the one I think we're talking
it
about, right?
is. Yeah,
If
he's
anyone
super
knows
old
John
school.
John,
He's super old school. He's like triple, double,
yeah,
quantrum OG. He has so many O's in front of his G, in my eyes. But like I said, when Scream took me to that hip hop show off Ninth and Lincoln, I just remember Total Devastation was playing. I want to get blunted, my brother. Dun, like a real upbeat song, and we saw Fiends and Mars b-boying, and we were just popping.
right.
So we saw how they were bringing it to the floor with Quickstep was doing head spins. And so Scream goes, fuck that. We're going to start b-boying. Um, we'll pop when we're in our 40s, which is funny because now we're in our 40s.
Right.
And that closet pop. Every b-boy is a closet popper, by the way. Like, you'll catch us in our rooms. So that's when Scream was like, yeah, John's been showing me how to pop. And he goes, but my brother and my cousin Moses want to start a crew. And he goes, they asked me to be in their crew, but he goes, oh, we're going to do this. And he goes, it's going to be called GWT. Get with this. And then on the same wall where Voice and Jer battled, and Jer painted this picture of a crazy being standing on the shoulders, choking another being out, and it said, a voice is nothing if it can't be heard. So Jer kind of won that battle. Because Voice and Jer are the kings, It was like Game of Thrones at that point. It was like two an immovable object and an unstoppable force. Like it was like and that's Year of the Bomb. And that's when Contents had its first store before its second store. But so Ark and Moses came up with Get With This.
Right.
And they painted it on that wall. And then that's how they said we're gonna be the Get With This crew, the G Dubs. Groovin' World.
Can you tell them how they got the Get With This? You were talking about it the other day. It's a certain song.
It from Black Sheep, it was definitely Get With This, and you could get with that. You could get with this, or you could get with that. But really, when it came down to it, INS was battling NC before Voice and Mars and them were LOF. They were NC, No Claim Crew, Milk, and all them. Do you remember them?
Nah,
yeah,
I wasn't here during that time.
This is the early '90s, yeah. And so INS, I Never Stop, before they were battling NC Crew, Mars, Voice, Milk, before they went to LOF. And they painted a piece because they said it was because of that song. I don't really know how true that is.
Right.
And it was a message to them. Get with this. And they go, that's going to be our graph crew then. Or our breaking crew. Fuck that. We just burned those fools. Get with this. Not only did we have a sick-ass mural, but we sent a message.
Right.
Like, get with this. And so that's how they got it. And then I was just a tag-along forever. But Scream just loved me for some reason. And he always just brought me around.
You said you were like second generation, right?
Yeah, because it was Scream, Moses, Ark, Sacred. Those guys were already doing it when they started showing me. But they all liked me. They were just like, hey, you're cool. Like, you little weirdo. And they just liked like how I was always just ready, so they threw me down with the crew. And it's, and they just knew I was down to go bombing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we fucking love it. Like,
now to me, for them to put you down, because GWT is a legendary crew in the city, so for them to put you down with them, you really had to be doing it.
Yeah. No, I was getting burned left and right in circles. What are you gonna do? You got to crash to create. And but they just loved how I was just.
Sounds like you were down, bro.
Bro, it's called
down for whatever.
It's called DSD1, down since day one. That's what it's called. They were just like, you didn't know what the fuck was going on, but you were just ready.
What were your first kind of couple go-to moves when you first started?
I would always ride the rhythm. I would always ride because I used to hip hop dance. So I would always ride the rhythm and like touch the floor and point. And like,
so almost kind of like more like a routine, but like a freestyle.
Kind of mostly a freestyle, but I would like just piss people off.
How was that?
Like I'd rhythmatically like make fun of them like on the floor,
like on some Beat Street shit. Where they're kind of doing the little, you know what I mean?
Where they pointed at each other and this and that, and then Screaming Them had the like more powerful momentum moves. Everyone had we all had our little niche,
little go-tos.
Yeah, and then like we picked up. It was mostly graphing and MCing for me through the 90s. I was mostly Rhyme Squadron with Dent and Sam, and mostly graphing with OAK, my crew. And I would just b-boy on the side just because I thought it was fun. And, we're high on coke at the club. But then in the late 90s, Lalo and Dash, they started dancing again at the clubs, and they started getting everyone back together.
And you guys would go to like the regular like nightclub, right?
Yeah, straight up tracks, church. We would
where they play hip hop.
Yeah, or electro, because we'd listen to because back then it was techno, before it was 90 different genres of electro music. So it was more of a that head jacking Chicago house style.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Funk. So it was kind of an 808 rhythm, so you could b-boy to house and you could pop to house. So we would just go out and groove. And that's back when they were DJ Dan and DJ Carlos and Bad Boy Bill. They'd throw cassette tapes out into the crowd, and that's like we were talking about.
Right.
You had to call to get them at points. You'd show up there. They'd be like, all right, you guys are kind of cool. You guys, all right, here, go here. And you go to another map points. And then next thing you know, one time Scream took me to this rave called Eden. And it was in a dry riverbed out by the Mile High Flea Market, out like, almost Commerce City, almost Brighton. And it was this huge
Arsenal.
It was like this huge, north of it. North of the Arsenal, like north of the flea market. But it was a dry riverbed about probably as wide as to the refrigerator to this wall.
Yeah.
And it was probably like 20 feet high. But they had a live DJs with a live drummer. And it was so sick. And it was called Eden. It was completely illegal. And
some crazy shit.
And we brought cardboard from our car.
I was going to say, how did you b-boy? Because you cut in some dirt or some riverbed.
Yeah, so we brought cardboard and we were breakdancing in front of the drummer. And he was painted all blue. Like, this is years before the Blue Man Project. Right. Like, he was painted all neon.
Maybe he was the Blue Man. Original.
Maybe he Blue Man originally. But it was just cool, back then it was so raw. It was so it was such a grind against. It was such a like we didn't learn to b-boy in dance studios. We learned on cardboard. We learned downtown. In the garage. We learned it.
Parking lot.
And then like when we started teaching at dance studios, we were like, you little fucking chumps have it made. Right. We would go to Cali. We would travel and come back with VHS tapes of competitions and study them to learn how to,
on your Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, and then nowadays,
it's all about the internet.
And so you could advance so fast, but we had to travel. We would use rent-a-cars, planes, trains. We used to take the Greyhound, and we would go to these competitions and just lose tremendously. But everyone would be like, fuck yeah, that's that
gang of knowledge.
But everyone would be like, oh, fuck yeah, that's that little Denver team. I remember you. Oh, fuck, you guys fucking, what's the oceans like in Denver? And we'd be like, what? And then everyone would be like, where the fuck is Denver? We'd be like, bro, we're in Colorado. And they'd be like, and fools would be like,
John Elway, fool.
Yeah, and fools would be like, oh, fuck yeah. Where the fuck is Colorado? They'd be asking the homie next to him.
That's funny.
And then, after a couple years of us popping up in LA, Miami, these West Coast, like Energetic and Little Rock in them, they were like, nah, bro, you guys aren't staying at a travel lodge. Don't go pay that shit. You're coming. You guys, hey, bro, this is the third time we've seen you guys out of state. And that's that communal part of hip hop that I'm talking about. not only did like when I started to like Scream and them take me in after people took him in, but as GWT, as we got national, the national teams took us in. So there's layers of communal, which is really cool to see.
Right.
Because now I have a couch anywhere I go in this country. And it's not because I'm not going around fighting dudes over chicks. No, I'm over here building and painting, sleeping on couches because of hip hop, bro.
Exactly.
Real hip hop. And that's the best part with GWT is I got to travel with Fate, Dash, Lalo, Kid Cruz, Ray Ray. I've known them all since I was 14. We're all the same. We're 3 different graph crews that stuck with breaking. ABS, INS, OAK. And so that's why GWT is so special, is because just like when I was here last week, when TCA was talking about TCAF, TCA family, they get together for barbecues and stuff. It's not just painting. And that's GWT too. When we were, we were at each other's houses, mowing each other's lawns, like, at every other sister's birthday.
Right. Just some real family shit.
Yeah, and then we take road trips and go battle and win or lose together, but we did it as a family, and that was the most special part is, I got to live a dream.
No, for real. You definitely...
I got to travel and dance and compete,
be on the road for years. And compete and break dance?
For years, with all the guys I grew up with since middle school.
What do you think of the term B-boy? Is that offensive to you?
That's actually the term, because when people say breakdance, that's actually a term the media coined for commercial purposes, because...
I actually... I watched the Drink Champs the other night with Crazy Legs, and he said some lady kind of coined that phrase because she, you know what I mean?
Breakdance?
Yeah, he said they kind of get offended to it sometimes.
Yeah, bro, we don't breakdance, we b-boy. Fuck, dude. And now this new school street jazz is called hip-hop dance. No, that's street jazz. That's the Shark and the Jets. That's been around. Fucking dickheads. What it's called is cultural appropriation. And I don't know if you're familiar with cultural appropriation, but
real quick is they don't want to come up with their own stuff and be original. They want to take something else and flip it a little and then call it their own new genre.
And that's completely what cultural appropriation is, because guess what? Yoga was not designed to be sold in a dance studio to people of a higher tax bracket. That's not what yoga was designed for. Yoga was designed for mental health and meditation. It was not meant to be sold. Neither was hip hop. Okay? Mm-hmm. And what the media did, because this is a capitalistic society. And so what the media did to hip hop is they go, oh, music, we can make CDs and sell it. Boom. Oh, artwork, we could tangibly put it on canvases and put it in galleries. Mm-hmm. And sell it. DJing, we could have shows and we can make music.
Control the radios.
Exactly. And then we could make money off of people paying for commercials.
Exactly.
So b-boying, the term b-boy comes from because you were a Bronx boy. And that's where it started. 2 guys named the Nigga Twins in the early 70s, mid 70s. They took disco dancing down to the floor. 2 dudes. Their name was the Nigga Twins. They were 2 black dudes, twins from the Bronx. So few years of that, they would do it when it was the breakdown of the beat. Like Apache, jump on it. Well, the breakdown was a dum 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 dum. When you
the instrumental part.
Yeah, and you were just at your breaking point, and you had to break out of your shell. That's because you're a break boy, you're a Bronx boy, you're a b-boy. That's where that comes from. Because you break out of your shell, you're a Bronx boy, you're a b-boy, you the breakdown. That's where that term break comes from it. And then some reporter was like, yeah, break dancing, because she heard break down, and it looks like it breaks your back. So she just, and that's where breakdancing came from, but it's not called breakdancing, it's called b-boying. 100%.